What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a preview, the Napoli preview. It feels like I just did a preview, and actually I just did a preview. Excuse me, on Monday for PSV, but here we are again. We play Napoli tomorrow in a couple of hours, basically, and it's our second big game of the season. You might say the first one being Roma, even if you do not want to classify it as a big game. And I'm going to say big game against Napoli and not rivalry, not rivals, whatever. But it is a big game because I think a lot of people are looking at Napoli being one of the contenders for the season. You know, with Conte there, them playing one game a week as well. I think that's what people are looking at and considering it as a big game. Anyway, the way it really goes, or the way it's shaping up to be, this is a must-win game for us. I called it must-win, you know, the first real big test. It is the first real big test, you know, because looking back at that Roma game and Rossi gone, I'm not sure if that was a big test, to be honest. Maybe on the day it was. But this is a big one, you know, they're top of the league. They lost their opening game against Verona away, 3-0. And then they won, you know. But we need to talk about those wins, especially. I don't know if many people watch Napoli play this season. Not the Verona game, obviously, but the other games. And there are some things that we definitely need to discuss as well, you know. But we first need to look at ourselves. We beat PSV, which is good, you know. I think everybody had a good day on that day. We didn't play Champions League for a year. We came back into the Champions League with a lot of new players still. And you might say it's PSV. You need to beat PSV at home, and we do need to beat PSV at home. But it was not a given that we would, and we did that in a very, at the end of the day, easy way. Despite everything that, you know, Motta said post game, it was a very comfortable win at the end of the day. But that's not really going to be the type of game we're going to play against Napoli tomorrow. PSV they were very expensive, excuse me. They played open. I'm not even sure why they played open, to be honest. You know, they made some subs, you know, 4 subs at the back. And I think it was very clear. Like after that 1-0, at one point, going into that second half as well, or close to that second half, I thought Peter Bosz was going to change something, and he never did, and that was just, it was just suicide, you know. It was pointless, it made no sense, and it made it very easy for us to actually see out that game, and if we were a bit more composed, probably scored a couple of more, but we didn't. That's fine, I get it, but tomorrow, it will be a different game. Conte's not coming to the stadium and play wide open football. He's not. I don't think he's going to sit back like Giuntoli do, you know, 2 banks of 5, basically. I don't think he's going to do that. However, he's not going to play expensive football. He's not going to be open like PSV. He's not going to come at you like PSV. He's not going to do that. And we just need to accept that, because we need to find ways. We need to find ways to beat teams who do not come to our place or even at home and be like, and are open and allow us to play and allow us to get in behind. You know, we need to find ways to do that, because a lot of teams are going to do that, you know. In Europe, some of them might, but especially in the league, a lot of teams are going to play us like that. They're not going to play you like PSV. That's crazy. Nobody's going to do that. So we need to find solutions to overcome those situations. I think tomorrow is a semi one to get it done. Before we get into the quotes, I don't get why he got mad about the questions about Antonio Conte. Well, I did, to be honest, because he got asked 4-5 questions about Antonio Conte, and at one point even I was like, at the last question about Conte, it kind of snapped almost. I was at question 3 and I was like, are we playing Napoli or are we playing 11 Contes on that pitch? That's basically what he was saying, you know. The questions weren't about the game. The questions were about, what do you think about Antonio Conte? Do you think you can do like Antonio Conte? Do you see yourself in Antonio Conte? What, you know, separates you from Antonio Conte? And I'm like, man, we play Napoli. Ask questions about the game. Actually, funny enough, Motta has a piece of paper and a pen at every presser, and he writes down things certain journalists ask him, so we can use that against him, basically. later on down the line in the season, I guess. But the questions were all about Conte, and we play Napoli tomorrow. And yes, he's a coach. If you ask one, then it's good. But if you ask 3-4 questions about Conte, then yeah, I think that's disrespectful towards Motta as well. I think he was sitting there being like, is nobody going to ask me anything really about the game? You know, is this the presser we're going to conduct, basically? That would be a perfectly fine presser if it were Allegri last season, because he didn't do anything more for fun than not talk about actual what was happening on the pitch last season. But that's not how Motta is. But he will learn. He will learn quickly that the questions are not going to be about football all the time. Especially Juve presses. Pre-game, it's just the same generic questions at times. I think it's a bit better this season because I think Motta kind of pushes journalists to asking different type of questions than just the generic questions where actually nobody gets anything from. They were making gotcha questions about Conte to get their headline for tomorrow. Yeah, basically. And he was smart enough to just avoid them and say whatever. It's like... I also do not get why... if we get a new coach, or we have a new player, or we have this, or we have that, it always needs to be compared. And you can compare things, but when we talk about players, and it's, is he the new... Chiellini, is he the new Marchisio, is he the new Conte? It gets boring at times. Just be yourself, and I think that's what Motta was looking at. Just let me coach, and then we'll see if I will do as much as Conte or not. Do you think it's time to rest a couple of players? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But yeah, let's talk about what he had to say. Let's go into what Motta had to say, because he had quite a few things to say, some interesting things to say. And he actually talked about the game. Not that he was really asked about it, but I thought he was like, okay, now I need to talk about the game. He said it will be a big game against Napoli. We want to confront them well, we want to confront them well, and playing with seriousness and with responsibility in front of our own fans. Try to play our football. I don't know if it's an advantage to not play in Europe, basically. I only know that this is how things are, and that we already knew the calendar before the start of the season. Napoli are built to aim to win the Scudetto. They won 2 years ago, expressing football that was well-spoken all over the world, and we have to think about doing well, supported by our fans in tomorrow's match. Now, like I said early on, everybody is kind of tipping Napoli to win it, or be in the title race, or compete for the title, or name it, something in that genre, basically. Purely because two things: Antonio Conte is a coach, but even if Antonio Conte was a coach, I think the tipping point for a lot of people is like, okay, he is only gonna play one game a week, so he has only one game a week to focus on. We had that last season. It turned out to be shambolic. I'm not saying Napoli is gonna turn out in that state. However, I think if you're a new coach, I think playing games is the best. I think the more you play, the better you get. And people smash the like button. I think the more you play, the better you get. Especially if you're a new coach, if you bring in new players. I don't like in training. There's only so much you can do, because you train against your own opponent, against your own teammates. They know what's gonna happen. They know how to react. They know the reaction. Like, it's not real. It's not the same than going out there and preparing one thing and then stepping on that pitch and the opponent does something completely different, and you need to adjust. And even if you can adjust, you need to adjust it for the next week or the following weeks, whatever. That's not what you can do in training sessions. So when people talk about one game a week and I look at that and I'm like, I get the point, basically. However, and this is not about jinxing. This is just pure expectations, putting healthy pressure we should be putting on this club and this team. We have a better squad. We need to beat Napoli. If they play once a week or once every single 2 weeks, we need to beat them. We have a better squad. We have a bigger squad. We have a better squad, I think. We have more talent. We have more quality in that squad. I don't think like if we lose tomorrow, by the way, I'm not gonna come on and say, yeah, but they play once a week and we played on Tuesday. That's probably why. I'm not gonna do that because when we were dominating the league, we played twice a week, and at times we played almost every single game in that season, and we still were winning teams. And we were still winning, excuse me. And yes, you might say we had a better squad back then, whatever. But it's still the point still stands. At one point, we kicked off with it. Other teams played once a week. Roma, when they were competing, they were meaningless in Europe, We did what we had to do because we were the best. Inter, when they won the league last season, they played twice a week. Napoli, when they won the league, they played twice a league. So yes, they play once a week, excuse me, and you can say that's an advantage, but I'm not looking at that being like, okay, I'm scared because they play once a week. I'm not scared because they play once a week. Actually, I'm not scared at all going into that game. We shouldn't be scared. We should be going into that game saying we need to win because we are the better team. We play at home. There are no excuses. You need to beat Napoli. I don't care that their last game was last Sunday, maybe. I'm not sure. I think it was Sunday when they played Cagliari, right? I think it's Sunday. Like when we played PSV on Tuesday, after the game, I was like, man, this is a good prep for Sunday. For Saturday, excuse me. It's a good prep. Like the players must be buzzing, the energy, the go feel factor is just all fresh still, That's how I'm looking at it, to be honest. Rather than, they play once a week. Like if you're good enough that if I believe, and I'm talking for myself, that our squad is better than Napoli's squad, then playing once a week is not going to make Napoli better. Their fit, like their commitment to do certain things might, but at the end of the day, the quality is what matters. And that's what I think. It doesn't matter if you play once a week or twice a week. I don't know what Milan are going to do if they sack a coach, nor do I actually care, to be honest. But it's going to be interesting what they're going to do. It's not a must-win. Draw isn't terrible. It's a must-win. A draw is not a terrible thing, by the way. If we draw, it's not the end of the season, whatever. But for me, it's a must-win. Because if you want to do something this season, you need to start beating these better teams at home. We didn't beat Roma. You need to beat Napoli, And that's purely for me, in my opinion, to make a statement. To just make a statement, and say, you know what, I don't care you play once a week. We played on Tuesday as well, and we are here, and we're beating you, and that's about it, And you can come out and, every single week and be tipped to be a title contender, that's fine, but we are going to show you that, for me, it's a must-win tomorrow. Like, if we don't win tomorrow, if it's 1-1 or 0-0, I'm not going to say, oh my God, this is going to be the end of the season, or this is going to hamper our season, this is going to derail our season. That's not what I'm trying to say. However, feeling-wise, for me, this is a must-win because I know what's going to happen if you don't beat Napoli at home. It will turn into, you can't beat these better teams at home or like in the league. Like, what is the issue? It's going to go... Excuse me. It's going to go in that direction really quickly, and that's something I don't want to deal with, and I want this club to actually avoid, or Thiago Motta to avoid, to be honest. I really do. But yeah, let's go on. Against Napoli, which game would you rather have? 3-0 win with 36 possession, less shots, or 64 possession with same shots and 1-0? I don't care. A win is a win. To be honest, I don't know, 3-1. Like I'm not sure. I don't like. It's a one game. If you ask me what do you prefer for an entire season, I can give you an answer. But if you are asking me for a specific game, I don't really care. Just win it. If 3-1 is a win, 1-0 is a win. If you talk about an entire season, I'll have an opinion on it more so than just one game. One game you win it and you move on, in my opinion. But yeah, he said about the game, because he wasn't getting asked about the game, so he started talking about the game himself. He said, we know we have to be solid tomorrow. I think as he was asked something about the game, but there was two questions before, and then he was asked about Antonio Conte again, and he was like, okay, we play Napoli tomorrow, and the players are gonna go on that pitch basically. So on that game, say we need to stay compact. To prevent their forwards to stay wide, basically, that's what he was trying to say, and have some space. We have to play a game that suit us, not them, which is kind of, standard box standard talk. Make sure that you can play your own game rather than catching up to a team. But he also said, I hope the team will be better in everything tomorrow. Then in our Champions League game, we have to make progress from game to game. We must not remain satisfied. I thought it was interesting that, I don't know, 3 days after that win, he still brought it up saying, you know what, actually, it wasn't that perfect. It wasn't all that good. We got the result, but the game in itself isn't good. That's why when we talk about PSV, it's good. We enjoyed that, but I'm not sure how much we can take away from that Napoli game, from that PSV game, and kind of insert that into that, or let it translate into that Napoli game, because it's going to be completely different. And to be honest, that second half wasn't fantastic against PSV, and we got the 3-0 quickly, I think, like 7-8 minutes into the second half. So if anyone still thought that game wasn't over, it was over at that moment in time. But technically, we were poor in that second half. Like, we made some mistakes which didn't allow us to keep the ball and keep PSV at bay, and not having them running at us every single 3, 4, 5 minutes, and it got to a point where it's like, okay, just stay composed and stay calm. And that's basically what he's training. And tomorrow we're going to need to do that, because I think we will have more of the possession, and they will wait-ish, they're not going to sit in 2 banks of 5, in my opinion, but they're going to wait, and they're going to pick their moments, which kind of we did at times against PSV, and we punished them for it. And we didn't really manage that second half in a perfect way. That's what he's trying to say. And tomorrow, we need to do that. Depending on how the game goes, obviously, we need to manage that game. And that's basically what he was saying. Because, yeah, it's good to be PSV, but at the end of the day, it wasn't perfect, It wasn't really that fantastic in that second half. Second half, I wasn't satisfied with all we played. Want to rest? Okay, rest with the ball done. Yeah, that's basically what they were saying. If you want to take your foot off the gas, that's cool, but you still can keep possession, to be honest. But let's move on. Because he was asked about Vlahovic again, and he said the same thing. He's saying for weeks. He said that he must have the ambition to always improve. As everyone, he said, his game together with the team is improving. He's smiling, helpful, and positive. In the last game, he created chances for his teammates. I'm happy with his work, and he must continue on this path. Like it or not, at the end of the day, a striker will be judged by scoring goals. That's it. A goalkeeper will be judged about saving. So if Vlahovic doesn't score for 5 games, he can have good link-up play. People are like, okay, you didn't score for 5 games. I know Inter fans who have an issue with Lautaro Martinez now, because he didn't score 1 in 12 in the league or something, and it's very poor form, and that's the life of a striker. For me right now, the issue is not even, missing chances, because I don't think we are creating a lot of them. We did against PSV, and he should have scored 1. But right now, my issue is mindset. When things are not going his way, he goes south, and it goes like, when it goes south with him, it doesn't look good on the ball in general, but when it goes south, it looks horrendous. It looks really poor, and he needs to find a balance in between. He needs to understand that there will be games that you're not going to have a lot of chances, you're not going to score. It is what it is, but just remain calm. At one point against PSV, I was like, man, chill. Like, there's no need to actually rush in anything, bumping everybody, just... Like, he's a big guy, like Norbert said, and at times he was just dropping down when I was like, if you just stay on your feet right now. And at one point, he actually controlled the ball, and he lost it because he was doing too much. Like, he's just keep it simple. Otherwise, it's going to get really, really ugly. It's going to get worse than this if he doesn't remain calm. And he 100% just needs to remain calm, because that goal will come. And even if it comes, if that goal arrives at one moment in time, my issue, or like my fear, not issue, is that he will have that. Oh, this is it, and then we will go back. Like that's his story right now. It's he scores and then it goes on, it goes down, and it goes up and it goes down. That's it right now. And right now, I don't think he's been. I think he played worse football in the past. I believe he has played worse football in the past. But right now, the goals are the issue, you might say, and people are focusing on that as they should because he's a striker and that's it, you know. But Motta right now is okay with it, I guess. And then the last question was about the squad. Somebody said, should we rest players? That was basically it. You know, what about Douglas Luiz? What about Colt Miners? What about him, and him? And he said, the group is working well and everyone is in a position to take the field. From my point of view, there are those who will play tomorrow and those who we will use in the next matches. That's how I see it. We know that the year is so long that we need everyone's contribution. Whether you play 1 minute, 10, or 90, it doesn't matter. You can always make a difference. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's also kind of key that that you're able to keep the players together. Even the players who don't play that much, you know, stick with him and give them confidence enough that when they get their shot, they take it. And also, some players understand that I'm just gonna be a squad player, no matter what. But it's going to be a long season, and at the end of the day, we're going to need everyone. Also, players you might not like, we're going to need them because just by default, we play a lot of games. So that's that. But let's go into the predicted lineup, and the predicted lineup is very simple. It's the lineup that won won against PSV. So that means McKennie keeps a spot, and right now I don't have an issue with that. It's going to be interesting for McKennie because it's not going to be like PSV. I don't think there's going to be that much space to run into. So in my opinion, he's going to need to play a different type of game. He's going to have more touches on the ball. And that's maybe a slight worry for me, you know. With McKennie, it's like if you make the runs and whatever, he's excellent. He's brilliant at it. But if you ask him to actually do the build up, I think he's too slow. He takes too many touches, and technically he's not on that level. You know, that's my biggest fear, that tomorrow we're gonna need him to, I'm just making this up, instead of having 20 touches, have 35 touches. And that's 15 touches too much, in my opinion. You know, however, going off that PSV game, I cannot come on and say he doesn't deserve to start. I can't. I just can't, because he does deserve to start, you know. And when it comes to Douglas Luiz, it's like Motta said, a lot of games. Fagioli is also not playing. Thuram is not playing right now. So there are going to be a lot of games. But at the end of the day, if we win with McKennie, then not even I'm going to moan about it. Because if you win, you win. Now, Gatti has a reported issue, but like going off the latest news, it feels like he's going to play him. I think that backline shouldn't be fine tomorrow. Should be fine tomorrow. If you watch that Inter game, did anyone watch that Inter City game? And the way Inter played out of City's press, I was thinking about us trying to do that against City, and I just felt the pain, the real pain, before it actually started. But tomorrow, I think they should be fine. You know, if Conte is gonna play the way he usually plays, then Bremer should have a very okay day in terms of like he shouldn't he shouldn't be having a lot of issues with Lukaku. You know, it's gonna be interesting to see Yildiz against Di Lorenzo. Probably Di Lorenzo will play a world-class game, you know, because why not? But that midfield from Napoli, that backline, it's not perfect. I've watched that Cagliari game. I was watching that, and before they actually run away with it with some weird goals, they should have been down 1 or 2 goals, you know, and Cagliari are not good, you know, and then at one point they got the goal and then it escalated, you know, mistakes from Cagliari and everything went in. But this far, I've not been impressed with Napoli. I know they're up there, but I haven't been impressed to the extent where I'm like going into that game and being like, okay, I'm scared. I don't think we're going to beat Napoli, you know. With all due respect, we should be beating Napoli tomorrow. So my prediction for tomorrow is, I went back and forward to it, but I said 2-0. We need to win. We absolutely, and I believe we will win. I believe we will win because we should be winning that game. I know they will be prepared. They will be up for it. Conte will be will have this team ready. I know that. I get that. I understand all that. However, we still need to beat Napoli, in my opinion. So that's why I'm going to go with 2-0. I do believe we will beat Napoli tomorrow. The goal scorers, I have no idea. I say 2-0 tomorrow. It's gonna be. Let me think. Who do I see scoring? Let me say. Let me say Bremer and Coal Miners if we win 2-0. If we win 2-0. In both the defensive and offensive base phase, we'll have a superiority as long as we keep our wingers wide. Yeah, but technically we should be playing a better game. Otherwise, it will cost us. If we get a pen tomorrow, a 0-0, we can't give it to Dusan. I'm sorry. Well, you should be taking it. If we have a pen, I want Vlahovic to take it. You know, if we have a pen, I want my number 9 to take that pen. Like, if we have a pen and you tell Vlahovic not to take him, then just bench Vlahovic from now until the end of the season because you have completely broken him. He's your number 9. He should be taking your pens. No matter what, he should be taking the pen. So I want him to take that pen tomorrow. Even if he has an absolutely shitty game and he gets a pen in the last second, I want him to step up and take that responsibility. I don't want him to shy away from him. I don't want the club to protect him. He is the number 9. He should be taking those pens. That's how I'm looking at it. So if we get one, he needs to take it from me. But yeah, let's see what we'll have. We will get tomorrow. You know, I'm fairly confident. I don't think it's gonna be an easy game or so, but I have a good feeling for it. Call me crazy. Call me jinxing it. However, I have a feeling, so I'm gonna say we're gonna win it. But yeah, that's it for me. Let me know your predictions in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will be back tomorrow with 2 guests. No, I'm lying. Sunday, excuse me, with 2 guests for a live show. But I will be back tomorrow for a match reaction as always. But yeah, that's it for me, people. Have a good evening and speak to you soon.